Yo, what up? This is D Knight, and you're listening to the Pardon the Insurrection podcast. My oh my, we've had so much going on. For starters, in case you missed it, we've got a new addition to the Pardon Pie family, Tara Dublin. Make sure you go follow her on Twitter at Tara Dublin Rocks. Also, pick up a copy of her book while you're at it. Make her day, The Sound of Settling. A very fun and interesting read compared to the things we talk about on this podcast. But yeah, we're heading toward the do or die time for the 2024 election. Go ahead and hit up JoeBiden.com. Get that man like $1 a month or something. Help his campaign staff up and get prepared to try and save our democracy. And make sure to grab like one other person you know and tell them about the podcast. Make sure they subscribe and tune in every single week. We got a lot of things coming up for you this year. We need all the support that we can get. So if you do your part and help us grow our audience, we'll do our part and help elect Joe Biden in 2024 and save American democracy. And this is the Pardon the Insurrection podcast.
One, two, three, four.
Back to this fucking Abby Grossman fucking up Fox News shit. It's more important. I don't even know how we got off on the three boobs. That's a Marjorie Taylor Toll shit, except boobs.
Because you wanted to talk about the plot to Total Recall, and now we're going to talk about Abby Grossman.
Oh no, I know what had happened. Ty, you were talking about having so many kids to feed, and it just reminded me of Benny. You're Benny of the Pardon the Insurrection podcast. Anyway, so let's see here. Grossberg was asked if she might be responsible for Tucker's firing. She said, "I think it has something to do with it. I don't know for sure. It's not a fact. I would like to think, if anything, it shows when you have the truth on your side and you stand up for yourself, people will listen. For now, that's what I'm taking from it." Well, people
that's so sweet. Sorry.
People will listen if you can prove in court through the deposition process. If you have damning evidence, they'll fucking listen, apparently.
When there's nothing they can do, but when they can no longer deny it, yes, they will acknowledge it in court.
Then they'll finally listen once you've proven it beyond a reasonable doubt in court. When asked if her amended dominion, well, I guess if we prove Trump's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in court, they still won't fucking listen. When asked if her amended dominion testimony may have caused it, or rather may have been a contributing factor, Grossberg said that Carlson's use of the C word, that is the. Am I allowed to say the C word on the podcast?
No, it's just, we don't need to. Everyone knows what the C word is.
Do they?
It rhymes with runt.
Yeah. It came up several times in her deposition, and the Fox's attorneys had prepared her in advance to lie about whether or not it bothered her. Not only is it more evidence of the hostile, anti-woman environment created by Tucker Carlson's endless misogyny, but it might implicate him further. It might have implicated him further in the Dominion trial. I don't know. So, and I'm not entirely certain that that's necessarily part of what got Tucker Carlson fired from the network. Not the implication that he's sexist or misogynistic, because look, that's a network-wide phenomenon. But that he's so blatant about it that it might cost Fox more money might be the issue. So after Fox fake news attorneys coerced her into giving Tucker Carlson cover by providing misleading and false testimony, staff was given a celebratory lunch later on called Abby Day. Woo! Pop the champagne. Hey, Ty, how do you imagine like your company's getting sued and the lawyer send you into the deposition to lie, and then after you protect, like you throw your body in front of the company, they throw lunch for everyone and they call it Tie Day. How fucked up is that? It's insane.
I'm not even going to comment on it.
Well, I'm just, it's bonkers. Whose idea was that? That's great.
That, like, the fucking just brazenness and audacity is overwhelming.
It's some coked up shit.
That is some bullshit. Like, for real.
That was some, okay, another movie. It just reminds me of like Wolf of Wall Street or something.
Oh, God, I love that movie.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that just, like, whose fucking idea? Like, not only do you have the lawyers out here breaking the law, but then they're throwing a fucking celebratory party afterwards. It's just wild. Grossberg produced secret audio recordings of Krakenhead, Booty Giuliani, and dump officials admitting, as in Toronto dump, officials admitting to Fox that they have no evidence of election fraud And that was a turning point just before the start of the Minion trial. The failure of Fox to turn over the tapes, as well as lying about Murdoch's role in the company, were instances that led to the judge admonishing Fox lawyers and ordering a special master to oversee Fox during the trial. And Grossberg said, quote, I have several recordings I'm still going through that were recovered from all of the phones. She said, there are 90 that we have. 90 fucking recordings. Lordy, there are tapes. I don't know what Fox turned over, but I do know that based on what I've read, that they handed over the Sidney and Rudy tapes. Fox should have everything. They really should. Grossberg also confirmed that she had been subpoenaed by Smartmatic, another voting machine firm, suing Fox News for defamation.
I can't wait till the Smartmatic suit, really.
Well, I feel like every tape that she's released has been pretty fucking damning of Rudy Giuliani and so on and so forth. That like she's got 80 more of those. That's insane. Like that's going to be fucked up. And for any of you out there listening, it's worth noting that not only is Smartmatic interested in procuring these recordings from Grossberg, but Jack Smith has also been in contact with her attorneys, if not subpoenaed her for those recordings. So whoop-de-fucking-do, Jack Smith to the rescue. He's interested in this shit too, because
I know him. He's the guy who's going to ruin all their lives.
Well, you know, it's funny you mentioned that. Guess whose life is about to be ruined next? You'll never guess. He took a trip to Cancun and left his constituents to die.
Oh.
Dun, 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 dun. Who is it, Ty?
You nailed it. Fled.
Ty. It was Ted. Ted Raphael.
And he's about to be Fled Cruz. On Ari Melber show on MSNBC today. As you can tell, it was a busy fucking day. This is immediately after the Grossberg thing. Ari Melber aired secret recordings of Ted Cruz plotting to overthrow the 2020 election long before January 6th. The tapes were provided by Abby Grossberg as part of her ongoing rampage against the blatant fuck shittery that Fox News has continued to engage in. Cruz reportedly tried to promote his scheme to Fox host Maria Bartiromo on January 2nd. The plot to overthrow the 2020 election included blocking the certification of Biden's win on January 6th, which they actually attempted to do. Then establishing a phony commission to investigate the non-existent claims of fraud, which would ultimately, quote, decide who to inaugurate. So this is a real doozy. Strap on, folks. Cruz said, quote, as we were looking at this January 6th certification, all of the options that were being discussed were problematic. And so I wanted to find a path that was consistent with the Constitution and the law and that addresses these very real serious claims that, you know, of course we have them on tape saying that they know the claims are fucking false. The evidence doesn't exist. Cruz continued on, quote, it can't just be, you know, somebody tweeted this. It's got to be demonstrable facts that can be laid out with evidence, because that's not what a court of law is going to look to. No, that's just, or rather not just an allegation, but actual fact. But again, facts that don't exist.
Yeah. Yeah. We got Tuckum. No, I'm sorry. Ted Cruz. Sorry. I get all these sociopaths confused. We have Cruz all the way on the bad faith, as far as you can get on the bad faith side. That
evil fucker. And he's
evil.
One of the individuals who on January 6th, disputed the certification of the, what was it, the Arizona elector votes during they do it alphabetically.
Don't they do it alphabetically?
The first one to be disputed was Arizona, and that was that ordeal was led by Ted Raphael, because he was up to some fuck shittery, as he was recently, well, you know, as he was admitting to Bartiromo. So when Bartiromo asked Cruz who would decide who gets inaugurated, Melber explains, saying, quote, Cruz answers that this fake, made up, so-called commission that he and his Trump buddies were planning to try to create to bureaucratize a coup. And that's what they were trying to do. That was his answer. That's how they would steal the race, with the fake fucking commission.
Yeah, just find a way to make it legal. Yep,
absolutely.
That's always what their plan is. They're trying to work through the
they're trying to use their position as elected
officials
officials to launder
work through
fraud.
the existing channels.
And he got busted. And he's on tape. And Jack Smith is coming, Nick. Bro. He's coming for that ass.
Good say.
Yeah. So I'll be excited to see Ted Cruz go to prison. I hope he gets a really terrible lawyer. I hope Trump pays for it because, you know, generally the way things are going with Trump's lawyers, the lawyer will become a witness against Ted Cruz. That'll be exciting. Something to look forward to, guys. All right. So on to more fuckery. So we'll temporarily veer away from insurrection related activities with and we'll focus on the Supreme Court for a moment with Neil Gorsuch pulling his best Clarence Thomas impersonation. Carol, after you.
All right. Supreme Court in injustice, Neil Gorsuch paid as much as $500,000 from a 2017 real estate sale deal without disclosing the identity of the buyer. The chief executive of a law firm with extensive business before the high court.
While I alluded to the fact that Neil Gorsuch was pulling a Clarence Thomas impersonation, I wasn't trying to say that he was appearing to be black. I was just saying that he's accepting bribes.
I was going to ask you if he was sexually assaulting his interns.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if he was putting
that we know of.
Genital hair on people's beverages or something. So, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, Brian Duffy, the chief executive of Greenberg Traurig, who bought property from Gorsuch, says he's, quote, never spoken, unquote, to Gorsuch. Quote, I've never met him, unquote. So this is the chief executive of Greenberg Traurig. That's a very big and prestigious firm. Yes, this is a nice firm. I'm not going to burn my bridges with them by reading the rest of this. After you said pubic hair, and then anyway, I'm just kidding. I'm totally going to read it. Gorsuch had been trying to sell a piece of land in Colorado for nearly 2 years before Brian Duffy purchased it on April 16th, 2017, just 9 days after Gorsuch's confirmation to SCOTUS. Not sketchy at all. Anyway, Duffy and his wife closed on the house a month later, paying $1.825 million for a stretch of property that included a 20% stake held by Gorsuch, who reported making between $250,001 and $500,000 from the sale on his federal disclosures form. So, wait.
No, he
still owns
so there was a
stake
stretch of property owned by 3 individuals, and Gorsuch had a 20% stake that included this like 3,000 square foot cabin. Duffy bought all of that shit. So he paid $1.825 million overall for the entire stretch of property. But his share of it was
and that's his share. Okay.
A quarter to $500,000. So.
Well, because given the conduct and disclosures or lack thereof of the other Supreme Court justices, it wouldn't be too unusual, I would think, for someone to purchase the property and then continue offering them some sort of stake in it, like, say, having your mother live there. Anyway, you're like, where the fuck is she going with this? Okay. The box that requires the disclosure of the purchaser on Gorsuch's forms, Gorsuch left that blank. That's always what you do when you have nothing to hide. Anyway, since then, Greenberg Traurig has been involved in at least 22 cases before or presented to the court. Holy forking shirt balls. I really liked that show.
Yeah, see, I'm familiar with the TV.
That's like on one of my lists.
Yeah.
I'm writing about.
The Good Place isn't sponsoring this podcast, but I feel like it's an entertaining enough show that we can still give it our endorsement. Like, you can watch that shit. It's pretty good.
It's really, really good.
Yeah.
Funny. That was a good show.
So
solid. Anyway. Yeah. That's impropriety or the appearance of impropriety.
Apparently so. The bar is on the ground. Low. You could like literally trip on it because it's so low.
I meant the standard, but also, The standard
They don't
of
ask for much.
conduct is
Like, it's not,
Yeah.
and the crazy thing is, like, there's a list of things that he's reported, a list of transactions and gifts that he's received that he reported on his financial disclosure forms. They were like far less, far more insignificant than, a potential $500,000 come up. So you got to know when he's filling out his form and he discloses the sale of his property, but he doesn't put who he sold it to. Like, it's some fucking shenanigans. And especially since this motherfucker had a number of double-digit cases in front of the Supreme Court. And surprise, surprise, guess which way Gorsuch ruled most of the time? You'll never guess. Yes, in favor of Duffy. You nailed it. Good job, audience. You're on top of that one. How'd you know the answer? Did y'all cheat? Did y'all hear about this story before you listen to this podcast? This is like Fox News. You better not get your fucking news from anywhere else. You better listen to us first. No, don't spoil your appetite for the news by listening to CNN or whatever the fuck you listen to. Listen to us, and we're more fun, and we cuss at Republicans, and they don't do that on cable TV.
That's true.
Yes. So, and of course, the Senate Judiciary Committee asked Chief Justice, whatever the fuck his name is, Roberts, to come in and testify about the judicial ethical rules. And he basically issued a statement that was a bunch of mumblefuckery along with the words, "I ain't coming." So subpoena his ass. Get on top of that, guys. Like, you have subpoena power, use it. This is some fuck shittery. Again, like, if you want to go back to the 90s, Bill Clinton, the initial investigation that resulted in his impeachment began as an inquiry into a real estate deal that the Clintons made a decade earlier, of which they made no money. Right? They didn't even make money on this thing. And he ended up getting impeached for that. I feel like we should hold these fucking Supreme Court justices accountable for, like, trying to hide the, hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars that they're receiving under the table. And they won't even disclose it on their fucking forms. Like, these people are ideally, there are 9 people in the United States of America who sit at the top of the table, sit at the head of the table when it comes to interpreting the law of the United States, but they can't figure out fucking financial disclosure forms. Fucking shame. The Supreme Court is in shambles. Fucking shambles.
Yes, I agree.
Yep. Ty, you got them notes up?
Hold on. Wait. Oh, yes.
got him up. Come on, little anonymous Walker. My little anonymous
Well,
Walker.
you have little pet names for me.
Walker, darling. Because you don't sign on to the notes and have a little icon that pops up and say what you are.
Notes. I know I got an alert that popped up. Like, there was a pop-up when you uploaded the notes, but I don't know how to get to.
Okay.
It's in the chat
I'm
here,
officially a
and
boomer.
it's in the chat on Twitter.
Okay. So are we
Official.
okay? We're
I'm
at
a boomer.
Bonnie Willis.
Yep.
So-
All right. Just go ahead and read the title and then just go through it. Feel free.
All right.
Go.
Bonnie Willis indictments are coming. If it's what you say, I love it, especially later in the summer.
I got that from Don Jr. when he was conspiring with Russia to try and release Hillary Clinton's emails. Yeah, just a flashback. Fun time. Remember the times. Remember the times when we
Nice.
fell in love. Do you remember the time? Anyway, continue.
Okay. Fulton County District Attorney Bonnie Willis plans to announce this summer whether she'll bring charges against former President Donald Trump or his allies for their attempts to overturn Georgia's 2020 presidential election results anytime between July 11th and September 1st. An indication that Willis is seriously weighing bringing racketeering and conspiracy charges in connection with Trump's actions, Willis sends a letter to Georgia law enforcement officials saying, "I am providing this letter to bring to your attention the need for heightened security and preparedness in coming months due to this pending announcement.
I got to tell you, she's not warning law enforcement officials to be fucking prepared, like sounding the alarms, because she's about to arrest Rudy fucking Giuliani.
Bonnie is ready.
Yeah.
Right.
She is ready. In the letter addressed to the sheriff of Fulton County, Patrick Labatt, who is in charge of courthouse security, Willis said that open source intelligence has previously indicated that decisions in this case could provoke significant public reaction that could result in violence. Please accept.
Wait. That is code for these crackers is about to get out of control. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, it's okay.
Bonnie
Anonymous
want a
Beaver,
cracker?
which is what you are.
That was really good. No offense, crackers. We love some of you. Some of you are A-okay with us. Anyway, continue, Ty.
Saltine, Clubhouse. You guys are, you're all.
Ritz.
I like Ritz.
Yeah. Close enough. I'm actually a Cheez-It guy, and that's my favorite kind of cracker.
Well, Carol likes the gold. So
yeah,
she likes the gold.
I like lots of kinds.
Please accept this correspondence as notice to allow you sufficient time to prepare the sheriff's office and coordinate with local, state, and federal agencies to ensure that our law enforcement community is ready to protect the public. Oh, sorry.
Do you two like Scooby-Doo? Because you know what that sounds like to me? Rut roll.
Scooby's hit or miss for me. I'm not, he's a
Shaggy. You seem like the type where you like if Shaggy was real, you would do him.
Yeah, I like nerds, so I'm not gonna go there.
Oh, Velma, you're a Velma fan. I didn't say anything. You don't have to look at me.
I've dipped. I like
nerds.
I like nerds and I like lady nerds too. So
yeah, with glasses and sweaters.
And some glasses and sweaters.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Anyone listening to the Part of the Insurrection podcast, if you want to like post your pictures of you dressed up as Velma, you can send that to @PardonPod on Twitter. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. It's just a joke. I don't want to get a single picture from anyone. Just kidding. No,
he does.
He's lying, dude.
No, I really don't. All right, continue.
Here are the Twitter handles of the women.
Fulton County's fourth term of court is scheduled to begin on July 11th. So Willis would bring any possible charging recommendations to the regularly seated grand juries. We'd serve 2-month terms during that time frame. So that's partially the delay. She's not ready to bring charges with this current grand jury. So the next regularly scheduled grand jury will begin on July 11th. It's the time frame again. So investigators have at least 3 recordings of Trump pressuring Georgia officials, including a phone call that he made to Georgia House Speaker to push for a special legislative session to overturn Democrat Joe Biden's 2020 victory in the state. Obviously, this goes along with the recording of Trump's call to a top investigator with the Georgia Secretary of State's office in December 2020, that famous recording that we've all listened to and was like, what the fuck? How is he not in jail yet? While they were looking into quashing allegations of irregularities with signature matching in Cobb County and the Atlanta metropolitan area. So this basically asking them to throw out votes of black people. The Fulton County probe expanded beyond the Trump phone calls to include false claims of election fraud to state lawmakers, the fake elector scheme, efforts by unauthorized individuals to access voting machines in Georgia, and threats and harassment against election workers. You know, I feel like this doesn't come up enough, but like they were really engaged in a whole shit fucking ton of shenanigans, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they did their like try everything. They had the strategy of like a 4-year-old who was like trying to get out of trouble. Like, what happened? Who broke this? And they'll be like, well, maybe I didn't do it, but if I did, no, but maybe a bear came and knocked it over. Or maybe it was a hot
This is like Goldilocks trying
like,
to, this is Goldilocks trying to explain where the porridge went to. Is that what's happening? No, okay, listen, just Georgia alone, right? So asking them to throw out the votes, find me the 11,780 or however the many fuck. That was insane. And we got that on tape. The fake elector plot, I mean, that's a massive criminal conspiracy, just fraudulent electors, like trying to pass himself off as legitimate, like even like filing the paperwork and sending the electors to Congress. That's insane. You know, breaking into voting machines, trying to steal the election data. Like that's fucking bonkers. Like that's a federal crime. Like it's bananas. And we're going to get to that in just a moment, actually.
Yeah.
And they were harassing election officials. Like, and this is just in Georgia. This ain't even January 6th. This ain't even the Ted Cruz plot.
Yeah.
To like,
dude, election workers were heroes, man. That they had to endure a lot. It shouldn't be a threatening job. That used to be a boring ass job.
And now you got to be a fucking special agent to like handle this shit. And if you're listening to Pardon the Insurrection and you want to do your part in 2024, you sign out to be an election poll worker or some such, like volunteer your time, volunteer your efforts. Not everyone can give money. I totally understand that. But there is another way you can play a part. You can do that. We're going to need you. You can't trust it.
You get some Krav Maga also to protect you from the crazy people.
Oh, Carol, that would be your specific martial art of choice. I'm not going to say why because I don't want to be accused of being in the same vein of, well, the entire Tucker Carlson show. All right. So next up on the list, and this relates to what we were just talking about moments ago, rather. Are you sending texts on a criminal fucking conspiracy? Yes, that's a allusion to The Wire. Carol, after you.
Leaked text messages reveal that operatives for Donald Trump discussed using breached voter data in Georgia to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Yeah. So what else is new? 2 men working for former President Trump in January of 2021 also allegedly talked about the possibility of data being used in an attempt to decertify the state's Senate runoffs, in which Democrats Warnock and Ossoff won their elections, creating a 50-50 tie in the Senate, with Democrats breaking the tie thanks to Madam
Carol, fucking crazy.
VP Kamala Harris.
This is insane. They weren't just trying to overthrow the presidential election in 2020. They were trying to steal the Senate too.
Yeah, really. Like they had a fucking plan to like keep Ossoff
Ted Cruz is officially
from his.
Wasn't me.
Is that you?
That was me. Sorry.
They broke into the fucking.
That was Little Miss Marxist. Her video.
They broke into the fucking elections
Sorry.
offices. Broke into a voting machine, stole the data, and we're going to try and use that to not only give Georgia back to Trump as some kind of, I don't know, I guess they were like hoping it would be like the first domino in a number of states overturning the election for, I don't know what the plan was, but this is fucking insane. It's bananas. Anyway, sorry, Carol, continue.
Connecting.
Oh, where'd you go? Are you still there? Okay, you sound good.
How does it sound?
Wait, you disappeared. I can't hear you anymore. Oh, it's okay.
I'm so sorry.
Post-production, I'll just edit this out. I can't hear you, but you look amazing.
Is it?
Oh.
Thank you. Well, I wasn't talking. How can you hear me now?
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay, this is the way it sounds better. Okay. Beep. Okay.
Oh, you went out.
2 men.
No, I can't hear you. All right.
All right. Maybe I can unplug some other stuff. The scanner. That's all.
Did you finish your dinner?
The scanner. And then.
Well, no, I'm still cooking yet. I'm probably not going to eat it because because when I'm cooking, I'm like tasting or whatever. And then when everything's done, I don't.
You're already full because you ate so much of it while you were cooking?
I don't eat. But I am going to sleep really good. I took 2 edibles.
No.
I don't know. I took a hybrid.
Well, we got to hurry up then.
I took a hybrid and I took an indica. Not sure how this is going to play out, but we're going to see.
I don't know. Okay, Carol, we got to hurry. She's going to be high in about 4 minutes.
Okay. Hopefully I won't. Okay. Beep. 2 men working for former President Trump in January of 2021 also allegedly talked about the possibility of the data being used in an attempt to.
It's okay.
I just read this section. To certify the state Senate runoff in which Democrats Warnock and Ossoff won their elections, creating a 50-50 tie in the Senate with Democrats breaking the tie.
Carol, that was fucking crazy. Deja
Kamala
vu.
Harris. That was fucking crazy. Yes, deja vu. The text messages were
sorry,
Jim Penrose, a former NSA official.
That was my bad. Typo.
Yes. The text messages were Jim Penrose, a former NSA official, working with Kraken head Sidney Powell, and Rudolph Giuliani to illegally obtain voting machine data, and Doug Logan, CEO of Cyber Ninjas, who engaged in a months-long sham audit.
It's a massive fucking criminal conspiracy, Carol, and they were taking notes.
Quote, here's the plan. Let's keep this close hold. Quote, Jim sent 2 weeks after breaching voting machines in Coffee County. So he waited 2 weeks to send his dumb plan to keep things quiet that he put in writing. Penrose addresses the Senate election, saying in reference to a potential lawsuit, quote, we only have until Saturday to decide if we're going to use this report to try to decertify the Senate runoff election, or if we
side tangent here, like the Cyber Ninjas thing, we knew that was a fucking scam because it took them like 8 months and they kept coming to the same conclusion that Biden won in Arizona. But
in all fairness, the same Cyber Ninjas kind of gave it away.
Well, these are the motherfuckers who were claiming that China rigged the election for Biden in Arizona, and they could tell because there were bamboo fibers in the ballots.
Kung Fu Panda has these fucking people. I can't even. Like, what the fuck? What you got against Poe? Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, all he wants to do is fucking make ramen and fight people.
These are the people who they like basically accuse Panda Express of rigging the 2020 election. It's no surprise they were up to some shenanigans in Georgia as
Orange chicken. Biden.
Imagine using something's origin in China as evidence, like that something, I don't know, a foul play. Like, everything is made in China. What, you think the paper wasn't? They're like, we found a reason to believe that all of our manufacturing was done in China, including this.
It's the most insane thing in the world. Is this like part of the criminal? I mean, the part of their like conspiracy theory that like somehow China has a hold over Biden. They were like, and that's why they tried to blame the ballots on. I don't know, but
Now, typically, we don't believe in science, but the science of bambootomy is a surefire way to determine the legitimacy of ballots cast.
And that's why you have to do your own research in bambooology. Oh my God.
That's the Kraken.
Oh my God.
You know? Anyway, so CNN obtained emails showing Penrose and Powell paid a cyber forensics firm that sent a team to Coffee County.
Literally, it's January 6th. They paid the people the very next day, Carol. The very next day.
On January 7th, 2 people entered the Coffee County elections office with local election official and helped them to gain access to sensitive voting data, which they downloaded onto a portable hard drive. So an election official, I'm on to you. I have a bad feeling about that Coffee County local election official. Okay.
Of note, Coffee
The
County.
data
Sorry,
was then
of note,
uploaded
Coffee
to an
County,
encrypted
a county
server.
that Trump won overwhelmingly. So it's insane that they were breaking into an election office in Coffee County. Because if you want to prove Trump won, maybe you would, I don't know, try and investigate the counties where he lost. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, that data was then uploaded to an encrypted server and shared with dump allies, including Logan, Penrose, Powell, and Giuliani. Derek Lyons, a former deputy White House counsel who was in a White House meeting with Trump and others in December 2020, testified to the January 6th committee that Giuliani suggested accessing voting machines in Georgia as an alternative to ordering the military or Department of Homeland Security to seize the voting machines. They're like, I have a much more reasonable idea. That's all we need to do.
Okay.
Anyway, it just seemed like a less bad idea compared to having the military do it. So everyone was like,
well, that was the thing. So
right.
in the crazy fucking December 18th meeting where everyone's going bonkers, suggesting Trump do insane shit, like, I don't know, making Sidney Powell a special counsel and having the Department of Homeland Security seize the voting machines. Rudy Giuliani, when Rudy Giuliani is the reasonable one, you maybe like lost your shit. And Rudy's like, I have an idea. Maybe we shouldn't have like the military do this. I'll handle it. And then he sent morons down here to do this illegally. So yeah.
Sorry, I was just thinking about what his military prowess would be, and man, that would be so sad for him. Anyway, okay, I would not feel sad. Anyway, Lyons on Giuliani, his point of view was that in some ways the campaign, I believe, was going to be able to secure access to voting machines in Georgia through means other than
fraud.
seizure. Okay. Well, Lyons told the committee that Giuliani suggested the access would be, quote, voluntary, end quote, and the examination of those machines would, quote, begin to show evidence of the allegations that were being made. That evidence could be the leverage to gain access to additional machines, end quote. So he was like, if I get the ball rolling, the previous thing will have been justified, and we can just keep going with it. We might have... Please let me keep trying.
He was
Please
like,
let me keep
I
trying.
got
That's
this.
basically it, you know?
And then his fucking squad of dipshits got caught in Georgia doing this. But they were going to use like whatever they found in Georgia, falsify that in some way to make it appear as though there was some kind of fraud with the machines, even though it was in a county where Trump won. And they're going to use that as evidence that they should get machines elsewhere, that they should be able to seize voting machines, I guess, in places like Arizona, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, all that good shit. They were really, they were really going about trying to overturn the 2020 election in every way possible. They didn't have like a handful of conceited plans where you like concentrate your efforts on doing this one or two things to affect the results. Nope. They were like throwing spaghetti at the wall, but they were throwing all kinds of spaghetti. And linguine, and lasagna, and rigatoni, and they were they were throwing an entire Italian restaurant worth of different kinds of pastas at every wall to see what sticks.
Look, you don't go into a coup with half your ass or half your pasta, I guess. You have to.
Man,
you
look,
gotta be
this
ready,
just lets you
man.
know that the only reason that they failed to overturn the election in 2020 isn't because our democracy is so resilient. It just happens to be the fact that so many of you all, people like you who listen to this podcast, people who support democracy, people who supported Joe Biden, turn out to vote in 2020 in such massive numbers that you won so many states that they didn't have a path to pull this shit off. The margin was too wide. They would have had to overturn too many states. But had they just come down to one state, like Arizona or Georgia and nothing else, they might have pulled this shit off. So pat yourselves on the back, everyone. You say fucking democracy. And I hate to ask you to
by trying to ruin democracy, you see.
Well, yeah, everyone out here listening to this podcast, thank you for all your efforts in 2020. And we're asking you to do the same again in 2024, because I'm sure if everyone's not locked up by the time the next election comes around, they're going to try and pull the shit again. They're going to try it again.
Yeah, well, yeah, you go all in. They have to go all in. So we did too, I guess.
Ty, you still cooking?
Okay.
I am. I'm here. Here y'all.
Did you decide to eat some dinner?
Yeah. I'm gonna try to eat something.
Yeah, I applaud your resolve.
Wait, have you been on a cleanse again?
Okay, so what happened was, Carol, with that,
Let her started. What had happened was.
So what had happened?
You're doing the 7-day juice thing.
I got fired and then I didn't have money to afford fruits. So
why don't you tell me to like Venmo you some cash app you some money, huh? Or something. I don't know what the kids do these days. I like Venmo.
But I'm eating beans.
They're good for your heart.
They're right.
Please make us a pie chart later about your amount of bean consumption to your flatulence
listeners,
levels.
if you're listening to this insanity of a podcast, if you want to help Ty eat better than beans, what you can do is you can click on this episode of the podcast and look at the show notes.
Send my Cash App.
Yeah. So click on this episode of the podcast. Look at the show notes. There should be a link somewhere in the show notes or in the description where you can support the show by subscribing to this podcast in such a fashion where you can donate $3 a month or something of such fashion. We're not, it's actually been in the show notes for a long time. I hadn't brought it up because we don't actually care about your money. But if you would like to support Ty eating, even though I've also yet to have dinner, if you'd like to support us eating food, you can do so by subscribing to our podcast or sending a small contribution if you appreciate the things that we provide to you on a weekly basis. All the cheats and the giggles. Because Colin isn't paying us to promote his product. Anyway, so back to. Yeah, so there's more shit going on in Georgia than you could possibly imagine. There's, the fake elector plot, which we alluded to earlier. Yeah, it's the sham wow of criminal conspiracies. It never ends. There's always more. So this particular lawyer representing some of the fake electors apparently took a page out of the Trump lawyer playbook. So Fani Willis filed a motion last week seeking to disqualify one of the attorneys representing 10 of the Georgia fake electors tied up in the investigation. A number of those electors alleged that another fake elector represented by that lawyer had committed other serious crimes. The motion also alleges that their lawyer, Kimberly DeBro, had failed to communicate an immunity offer to the group, despite her former co-counsel's claims in court that it had been communicated to them clearly. The motion suggests Willis is still willing to offer immunity to some or even most of the fake electors. So what we have here is Willis is running her investigation. She's interviewed a number of these fake electors to get them to cooperate. She's been willing to offer them, immunity in exchange for their testimony about the greater plot and other individuals involved in the crime spree down there in Georgia. But this lawyer that's representing a number of them hasn't exactly been forthcoming about Fani Willis's office and their offer of immunity, which would be highly beneficial to some of her clients, but not necessarily to others. And apparently, failing to communicate a beneficial offer like immunity It's a serious violation of professional ethics. Surprise, surprise. This lawyer is probably being paid by Trump. So, of course, they're going to they're going to violate their ethical responsibilities. And if she helped play a role in her co-counsel's misrepresentation to the judge, she could also face sanctions. So, again, like it's par for the course for a Trump lawyer. So both of the lawyers could be held accountable if they knowingly made false statements to the court. And DeBro could also be removed from representing some of her clients due to their potentially conflicting interests. Some agree to cooperate. So yeah, that's what you got going on in Georgia. Yet another instance of some shit fuckery leading to a delay in Fannie Willis announcing indictments of Trump and co.
So is he going around paying like various lawyers to just like, he's just like bribing lawyers to throw their own clients under the bus? Is this part of it? Or he just paid for it?
Yeah,
he was already
he's telling the people, I'll handle your legal fees, but
stuff.
then he provides a lawyer that's willing to do shit that's not in their best interest, but that's actually in the best interest of Trump. What it reminds me of, with at least a semi-similar situation, is David Pecker in these catch and kill stories. So like Pecker would people would come in offering to sell Pecker these stories that would be harmful to Trump's reputation, and Pecker would pay for them, but then he would never print them. Right. So it'd be like, oh, you compensated the individual for their stories, but you don't actually put out the damning information. But you also have those people sign a non-disclosure agreement so they can't go public with another outlet. So these lawyers are basically doing the same thing. They're like coaching their witnesses not to testify or not, enter into, plea agreements or take immunity deals in exchange for their testimony. And that's not necessarily in their client's best interest unless you consider Trump is ultimately their client, given that he's the one providing the funds to the lawyers. So yeah, some shit fuckery. Like, I know you're like, oh, Fannie said it would be imminent when she made a charging decision. What's taking so long? Well, now you fucking know. You see how much crazy shit is going on in Georgia right now? Shit is crazy.
It's no wonder she needs the.
We can't even have no fun on this podcast because the news is fucking insane. Every goddamn week, I'm losing my mind.
Funny is, she is a professional and she's pretty amazing.
Yes.
And she's doing her due diligence. Like, I have nothing but like the utmost respect for.
Yeah. And again, like if she were to have filed charges without doing her due diligence in this one aspect, like she does have a duty, as far as these fake electors are concerned, to give them the best, the best deal possible in exchange for their full testimony. Like it's her responsibility. It's the responsibility of her office to do their due diligence, and like for her to file charges without turning over every stone it'd be irresponsible, if not appealable. So yeah, that's what the holdup is down in Georgia. I'm fairly sure she probably had charges ready to go. But as you can tell, every time you turn over a fucking stone in these criminal investigation, cockroaches scramble everywhere. You got to go hunt those fuckers down. And you turn over the next stone. And then you're like, oh, look, there's more fucking crime scattered everywhere. It's just endless insanity. But yeah, she's giving you a time frame. Middle of July at the earliest. Last or first day of September at the latest. You know the schedule. So just be on the lookout. Indictments are coming. Of course, when Fannie gets Trump's ass with the fucking RICO, tune into this podcast. We will celebrate with more old Fortuna style ramblings and rantings and ravings and celebration. So, do either of you have a nomination for the Shithole of the Week award? Carol, Ty, you can't say Ron DeSantis. That's your closing thoughts. You say that for your closing. You just ring DeSantis a new one every time we have closing thoughts.
No, but for now, it's the Montana GOP.
Yeah, they fucking up. Basically pulling a Tennessee.
Who are silencing a duly elected official whose constituents make up their constituent body, but yet they want to silence her. And I'm so disgusted by their behavior and their treatment of Zoe Zephyr. This past week, they get my shithole of the week award. Fuck you, Montana. Like, seriously. Fuck you.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to disagree with you. I had intended to nominate one former Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, because it appears that a special inspector general for the Afghanistan reconstruction basically outed Pompeo, saying that he threatened to withhold millions of dollars in aid from Afghanistan if they didn't agree to Trump's deal to free 5,000 Taliban terrorists from prison. So the reason why the reason why Afghanistan went to shit once Biden took over as president is because at the last fucking minute after Trump lost in 2020, he negotiated a deal to the Taliban to fucking surrender the country to them. And not only did he fucking surrender, he gave them a fucking army. So if you're wondering why it was such a haphazard withdrawal from Afghanistan during the Biden administration, blame fucking Mike Pompeo for negotiating with terrorists. And not just negotiating, like giving them everything they could ever have imagined. The guy he negotiated with is running the fucking country as we speak. As we speak. Yeah, so Montana GOP / Mike Pompeo, you get to split the shithole of the week award. Congratulations, you dirty fucks. Fuck you guys. All right, Carol, do you have any closing thoughts? Ty, do you have any closing thoughts? Ron DeSantis, go.
No, but guys, we need to stay vigilant. Like right now, like everything is all out on the table. We've learned about the corruption of Thomas, Gorsuch, of course, what we don't and do know about Kavanaugh, but POTUS and Veep, I'm riding with Biden. I'm riding with Biden and Kamala Harris all the way. They have done us so proud with the work that they've done since being in office, despite all of the roadblocks and barriers that the Republicans have tried to put forth, not stopped fighting. And for that, I am eternally grateful.
Well said. Carol, do you have any closing thoughts?
Yeah.
I like beer.
Yes and no.
Bud Light.
There's just so much going on. It's so hard not to get exhausted. I don't know. My new thing is trying to have other hobbies besides Twitter and news. And just what Ty said is totally true. We do need to be vigilant, but we also can't like burn out. So get out there and do something. I've been weeding my garden. See, I'm a multi.
Do you want to come by?
Yeah. you like weeds of all kinds. The kinds that you smoke and the kind that you garden. Got it. Nailed it.
Yeah, I didn't do a good job or finish, but you know, enjoy life too. Not too much. Do some work. Nice. Any closing thoughts, D?
Yeah. Okay. For my closing thoughts, I think I want to start with the Proud Boys. In case you didn't know, Proud Boys trial is wrapping up. It's been a marathon, 50 something plus days between the opening arguments, all the evidence and testimony presented at the trial, and the closing arguments were today. But one of the things I'd like to bring to your attention is the Proud Boys leader, Enrique Tarrio. Apparently he's turned on Trump in court, no less. And I'll just quote his own words here. Quote, "It was Donald Trump's words. It was his motivation. It was his anger that caused what occurred on January 6th in your amazing and beautiful city." It's pretty straightforward. I think
he's going for the very floral language.
It's pretty straightforward. We all know who was responsible for January 6th. The guy who was on the ground leading his troops into the Capitol says it himself. Pointed the finger at Donald Trump. If you haven't noticed here, the right wing is imploding. They're losing one of their main propagandists, fired. The propaganda network, paying up $250 million, losing more than that in market share. Ted Cruz, implicated in a massive fucking criminal conspiracy. DeSantis, seemingly their only hope from stopping Trump in a primary, can't even fucking announce his campaign without it completely tanking. Losing to a company known for its fucking princesses. Elon is losing his mind and his fucking fortune. Spent $44 billion on Twitter. That's going broke. And the guy he paid a bunch of money to is starting his own competitor to help bankrupt Twitter. Trump's in the middle of a fucking rape trial. Great birthday present for his wife, Melania. Congratulations to you two. Match made in heaven. Not to mention, Mike Pence is about to testify. Congratulations on being the first president to have your vice president testify against you in a massive fucking criminal conspiracy. All in the middle of the Proud Boys seditious conspiracy trial. That's about to wrap up. They're going to prison. Oath Keeper's already gone to prison. 3%ers are next. Bannon on his way to trial for the fucking Stop the Steal scam. Georgia fake electors on their way to being indicted. Abby Grossberg turning over incriminating evidence of literally everyone. It's not looking too good for the bad guys right now. So if you just keep your head on your shoulders, we do what we have to do. Support your man, Joe. You do your part to get our people riled up for 2024. We could potentially be seeing the end of the Republican Party as we know it. And that concludes this episode of Pardon the Insurrection.